Good evening, everyone. Welcome back to the Ragz Jackz stream. I see Jackz is in the chat there too. Not only is he on the screen, he's in the chat.
All over the place these days, mate.
Yeah, you're like the Scarlet Pimpernel. I see John, Enoch's and Gammon's and Toffee's and Almack's and welcome all. 17 so far. Just get the old stuff out of the road. Folks, if you look in the description to this video, you will find my other channels and my other links to the likes of Odyssey and what's the other one called, Rumble and things like that there. If you can go along and support them, they're much appreciated. Our guest tonight, I've wanted to have him on for a while now. Me and Jack talked about it. We eventually got him because he was on Off-Grid Ireland. I listened to him and he was spot on the money and everything he says. So without further ado, folks, Steve Laws.
You all right there, mate? Thanks for having me on. I appreciate it.
Not a problem, but not a problem.
Cheers for coming on. Cheers for coming on, Steve. Cheers for taking time out of your Sunday to come and chat to us. What was the weather like down your way today?
It's been all right. It was raining this morning, but it sort of cleared up in the afternoon, so hit and miss, really.
It was the first great sort of nice Sunday of the year here today over in Ulster, and
so you had a nice weather.
So I couldn't even get out in the garden because it was sodden from yesterday. I will get out there eventually, but yeah. So do you live down? Just for clarification for myself, Steve, do you live down in Dover yourself?
No, I live in Folkestone, the next town over.
Okay, so you are still pretty much very much on the front line though.
Yeah, basically, yeah. It's just I only live the next town over. I used to live in Dover a few years ago, but it's better in Folkestone.
Okay, right, fair enough. All right, well, Ragz, did you want to jump into anything in particular, or do you want me to shoot from the hip?
Well, no, you say Folkestone. I think as Liam, as the other citizen journalist, Liam, is it Liam? Is he not from Folkestone?
Yeah, Liam. Yeah, Liam lives in Folkestone as well.
I see he got on the he was in court there the other day. I don't know how he got.
Oh, was he? That. I haven't spoken to him in a couple of days, so I haven't been up to date.
Well,
I like Liam though, makes me know.
They posted something on YouTube about being out. He was outside the court, and I can't mind if they had actually seen him or they had cancelled it or something. I'm not too sure. I must look into that. But no, he does the same stuff as yourself. As you say, you're talking in the green room there, like a citizen journalist and an activist. And as you said, we know you stood for UKIP and things like that there. But how do you see things going politically in Britain? Do you think Suella Braverman's actually going to do anything that she says she's going to do? You know, this is why we have you on, because they like your opinion on them. So.
To be honest, no, she's not going to do anything. To be honest, like for instance, that recently she done this state of emergency. That's only a state of emergency, so she can override local councils and put them wherever she wants in the country now. So basically, wherever she decides they want to go, they can go. And there's not going to be anything done by the Conservatives to stop it whatsoever. So the ultimate goal is on a general election, people don't vote for the Tories or Labour, but that's a long shot, unfortunately. So it's kind of, excuse the language, but a bit of a shit show.
Yes. Oh, as long as we don't swear within the first couple of minutes, I think we're fine. Apparently, they YouTube time it. So if you say Vic or whatever within the first couple of minutes, they demonetize you and all, but I'm not monetized anyway, so it doesn't matter. So, no, as I'd seen some of her stuff and all this Rwanda, and then they're discussing it today on GB News and stuff, and the man says, even if you send them to Rwanda, we're still going to be paying for them to stay in Rwanda, even though to be processed. And in the fine print, I think Jack will confirm this for me. In the fine print, we have to take so many people from Rwanda, and they are mentally handicapped or severely disabled people. So then the British taxpayer gets to pay for them for the rest of their days, and healthcare and stuff. So
Yeah, you're spot on there. Like, go on, mate. Sorry.
Sorry, mate. Go on. No, you crack on, mate.
I was just going to say the whole point of the Rwanda scheme is basically it's an immigration exchange program. So there's no cap on how many we're coming in, but there is a cap on how many are going out. And the current figure was stood at 200 was what they was going to do, because that's the only amount of capacity they have in that one hotel that they've acquired. So it's basically 200 out for an unlimited amount of, like you say, vulnerable and disabled immigrants that are going to be even more of a burden on the state, and it's just going to cost the taxpayer even more. The Rwanda scheme will never ever take off. It's just it was thrown out for the local elections, and they've used it as red meat ever since, basically.
Well, it's the same as
I agree with you there, Steve. Red meat.
No, it's the same as that part of the takes used to be Nigel Farage. He just seems to be the gatekeeper, or pressure valve, as I call him, because it's like, we're going to do this and we're going to do that and we're going to do this and we're going to do that. The Tories told us that in the last election and they never came through. They bring up this new supposedly sort of British nationalist party. They have no intentions of doing anything about it. That's just my opinion, gentlemen. But there's according to government figures, there's over 2 million illegal people in Britain at the minute. That's between England and Scotland. And the border force are arresting them and sending them back on a weekly basis. And it's not even making a dent. And I watched the documentary on it, and I think I mentioned this to you, Jack, that how they found out was the supermarket sales. The amount of food that's being sold, they said it was 77 million people in Britain, but the actual sale of food represents about 80 million people. So,
well, there's plenty of different data points they could to use to gather that sort of information, anyway, isn't there? Going back to the politics, Steve, I'm very interested to know in how long you would consider yourself to have been a political person for.
Not that long compared to others, to be honest. Only about 3-4 years, probably more 4 years. Other than that, I used to just sort of vote and not really get involved, if that made sense. But when I sort of started covering the boats and stuff, and then you realise how much everyone's lying about it and covering it up, and they're making out it's not as bad as it is, and all of this, it kind of makes you lean politically, but you have sort of no choice. And then obviously you just sort of end up where you are. That's kind of what's happened to me.
So was it the boat issue that essentially got you into it via the boat issue?
Yeah, but essentially, basically. But I sort of only started covering the boats just to prove to my mate that it was happening, because he sort of didn't believe me. And then it just sort of, when I uploaded it on Twitter and the footage went viral, I realised probably a lot of other people knew it was happening. And then from there, it sort of just escalated into a point where I covered it all the time. And then I sort of got involved in politics, and then that's pretty much what happens. But I never sort of went in with the intention of, right, the boat's happening, that's what I need to do. It was just sort of to prove it was happening, because I've known about it for years.
Right. So give me a day in the life. We'll say it's a real active summer's day. The boats are going out all the time, and that. What would you be doing down there the whole day?
Well, if I was at the docks and things like that.
Yeah.
Since they've moved it, you'd have to go up to the top of the cliffs now to film. So obviously the footage isn't that great. But before, I'd stand around at the docks. I'd get a cup of tea. We'd wait for the first boat. You'd film it. You'd upload the footage, and then repeat the process on every boat that came through. And sometimes you'd be there for like 10, 12-hour days at some point, just showing all of the boats, because you'd have to stay to show the true scale of it, because this was going back long before the government was releasing daily figures and things like that. There was just, the only word on it coming out was us being there. If we weren't there, it wasn't getting put out, basically.
Right. And so obviously there's a little network of people down there. Did you know any of these people beforehand that, you know, they're sort of doing the same thing as you? I mean, did you know any of these people beforehand, or did you meet them down there?
Oh, what, like Active Patriot and all that lot?
Yeah, that's it, all that lot, yeah.
Yeah, no, I met them all through going down and filming. When I didn't know any of them. I didn't even know there was anyone filming when I first went down. And then as I sort of done, then I met Chris, and then I'd met Active Patriot and people like that. And then you just sort of meet them over the time. But no, I didn't know any of them before.
Wow, okay. It's interesting then. So it really was just the influx of the numbers coming through and that and your friend said, what does your friend say about it now?
Oh, yeah, he believes it now. Well, as soon as I showed him, that was it. He believed it. But at the time, he was just like, because no one was believing they was going straight in on coaches and things like that. Everyone was just like, no, they're coming in, but they're not going on coaches straight to hotels. I was like, they are, mate. Look. And then I showed the footage, and that's sort of what happened.
Right. And so what's the situation down there now, Steve, in regards to people like citizen journalists or even corporate journalists? How much access have they got to the place now? What can and can't you report on?
Well, they can report on everything, but you can't get close to the actual place. You can only go sort of outside the gates, and since they've moved the gangway of where they unload the illegal immigrants, you can only see it from sitting on top of the cliffs. So it's essentially just people sitting at the cliffs, but it's mostly just Chris Johnson that's up there filming now, to be honest. He's mostly the only one there. I don't go up to the film like I used to, because I just don't have the time. It was all right when it was during COVID and all of those sort of things, but once you're sort of spending all those hours there, you can't go to work. It starts costing you money and things like that. It's just not worth it. And now I feel like everyone knows about the boats coming over now, so I don't really need to sacrifice all of my time.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point to make about it then. So
I think Steve, I think you're one of the first to bring it to the forefront. What, about 3 years ago now? While we were all locked in homes, they were floating them in dinghies.
Yeah, whilst everyone was locked in and they said they weren't allowed to leave their house, there was literally flooding in thousands of illegals, and I was literally standing there filming it. I was bringing into like talk radio and stuff, and I was getting called a conspiracy theorist and all of this. I was like, it's literally happening in front of me. But that was all the struggle we had at first, trying to just prove it was happening, even though it was clear as day.
You've seen the stuff from the Care for Cali lot and all, and how Care for Cali ended up in Liverpool is beyond me. Slightly further away from Dover. They employed Antifa to come in, and the supposed police minibus, apparently it wasn't insured, it wasn't taxed, it wasn't MOT'd, and it conveniently went on fire with a load of masked, blacked out masked people, in and around it. Then they called, what was it called then? Apparently that place in Liverpool and Clough Mosley, and he confirmed it. Knowsley is one of the most Christian sort of places you can get in and around Liverpool, and they're all left leaning. They're all Labour voters. So how can they be far right?
And the person who actually set the police van on fire and stuff was like an anarchist, basically. It wasn't anything to do with the protest, but the media jumped on that story and spun it around that it was far right. They got all of the patriotic alternative guys banned off Twitter and things like that, all because of that protest and that police van going fine. It was nothing to do with anyone.
Yeah, I believe he pretty much said or put on social media, I'm going out and I'm looking for trouble tonight.
Yep. No, Peter
Yeah, he
wasn't
was
even.
like, but in the report, he was like sniffing lines of ketamine in front of the police officers and things like that. And like, that's not the sort of thing one of our guys would do.
No, definitely not.
No,
Do you know what I mean?
far from it. Yeah.
Yeah, hold on a minute there, guys. All right. Here I go. No, they're just, I think most of them Antifa lot are sort of middle class university freaking Marxists, indoctrinated into thinking the world should be a certain way. And we all know what communism does. How many people did it kill, Jack? 300 million?
Uncountable, really. Yeah,
300
uncountable.
Yeah, communism really works. You do get, there's somebody mentioned, what do you call Pierce
Corbyn.
Pierce Corbyn, and the other Corbyn. He lives in a £3 million mansion, and he's a multi-millionaire, but he's a communist. Why is he not sharing his wealth? You know, it's like Bernie Sanders in America has 3 luxury homes, totaling something like $15 million in houses. Why does he need 3 houses?
So then, Mr. Laws, how did you eventually end up running for UKIP? I find that quite an interesting route that you took there.
They just asked me, and I just said, I thought about it, and then I just said, yeah. Basically, that was it. I know, and that's a bit of a boring story, but that was basically it.
And what was the process you had to go through?
Nothing. They literally let me do what I want, if I'm honest with you.
Really? I thought it would be a little bit harder than that, but you just, there's no, I assume there's forms to fill and
they said,
stuff.
do you want to stand? I said, yeah. They helped me out with the campaign, got the leaflets together. They sort of designed all the leaflets and everything like that. And put what was on it. And then I just sort of ran the campaign.
And what did you make of
that
whole
really.
experience?
It was a learning curve. I enjoyed it. Don't get me wrong. I enjoyed it. I done crap, but I did enjoy it. I learned a lot. I know what to do next time and things like that. But I'd recommend anyone could do it. It's a bit of pain in backside sort of doing it, like with the amount of time it takes up and things like that, and it's unexpected costs of travelling about. It's just sort of a bit of an ache, but it is worth it because if one of our guys wins, it's a massive step. So you never know. There could be one day where some people have had enough and they just go for it and put their X in the box. So I'd recommend as many people stand as possible.
But do you not think that waters it down? Because if you have UKIP and you have Britain First and all these registered parties accompanying the name of,
I think there's 2 arguments to that. There is the argument that it weakens the right by it being so divided, but then there's also the argument that the stronger one will come through eventually and lead the rest. So there are 2 arguments from each side. So I can see it from both sides, really.
Yeah, I get that point. But it seems to be the right is so divided at the minute that there's no actual common ground. We do have common ground. There's Anne-Marie Waters. She has. Has she rejoined?
I think she rejoined UKIP.
Yeah, she has. Yeah.
No, Ambulance is it there? So he says it in the chat there. She must have had. She had her own party up and running. But I think it's the cost, Steve, because I think if you want to stand, did somebody not say it was like £5,000 up front to stand?
I used to be a member of Anne-Marie's party for Britain. I left them back in the day.
There you have the National Housing Party, UK. With Pat McGuinness, you have who else do you have? There's the British Democrats,
English Democrats.
Yeah,
English Democrats and
they
stuff
seem
like
to
that.
be doing well on a local level.
Yes, I'd seen that. The people that I like can't get a party together. Well, they can't get registered. But or some of them don't get registered. I like Jada Franson and the PA guys and stuff. They were speaking sense, but they can't literally get registered. So I think your woman Jada Franson, she runs as an independent. She ran as an independent against Frankie.
She stood in the same election I stood in.
Did she? She also stood in Scotland against Nicola Sturgeon. And
yeah, she does. She stands. I think she stood in loads, didn't she?
Yeah, she actually caught her at one of the polling stations and chased her down the street. And Jimmy Craigie ran like a big loyalist unionist area wherever she was. Okay.
Jada don't mess about.
Well, she went at her like a freaking dog. Mark well.
So yeah, you said right at the beginning of the stream, Steve, that you can't see it being solved. You can't see a political solution.
No, there is a political solution, just not under the Tories or Labour.
Yeah, sorry, that's what I meant. Under the big hitters, right? So what is the tactic, in your opinion? How do we gain soft power to eventually lead to a harder power?
Well, the first key step is getting one of our guys to win a seat. That's the main thing. That's the first hurdle, because we have got no one in there. So the first thing to do is everyone's got to back the candidate that's got a chance in an area, basically. And you've got to, I know it sounds like it's like a long shot, but that is the reality of the situation, is you've got to win the first person in there. Once we've got someone in there that can say our message in the parliament, people will feel more comfortable to vote that way. And then more of our guys will be able to get in. And then that's when we can start actually making a change, whether it's through UKIP, Reform, Heritage Party or Independence. It doesn't matter, as long as one of our guys gets in. That's the main thing first. And then from there, you've got something to build on. But until you've got something to build on, it's all just pipe dreams, basically.
Oh yeah, I tend to agree.
It's a good point. Infiltrate the big hitters. You know, pretend to be a moderate and get into one of these parties and then stand. And as soon as you
that's what people have got to do. That's what you got to do. You got to bite your tongue, play the game.
Yeah.
Right, where are we at here? I'm going to play one of Steve's. This is part one. They're slightly long, folks, so I'm only going to play the sort of introductions on them. These are two things that Steve's been working on the last, I don't know how long you've been working on them for, Steve, a couple of months.
There's going to be 5 parts altogether. I've done 2 of them. The next one will be out early May.
We have part 1 and part 2 here, and I will share them. And Steve Craig, the mod with the most, he'll drop them in to the chat. I'm sure, I think I pinned them in the chat as well, and there should be in the description. So I'm going to share this, and I'm going to just play a segment of it just to give you the flavour for it, folks, because this is the work that Steve's doing. I take it you don't have any financial help doing these things or anything?
Nah, to be fair, I made most of that on my phone, believe it or not.
Right. So let's hear from Steve on this one.
As an independent journalist that has covered illegal immigration consistently for over 3 years now, I felt it was time to put some of the information I've acquired over the years to help people understand the truth and how out of control.
Right, Steve, can you talk us through that one there?
Well, the part one is basically all about the camps in northern France and basically the involvement of all the NGOs and what they get, what they're up to, basically. So it's essentially covering what happens within the camps and the NGOs and how they assist it. That's basically to summarise part one, but you'd have to watch it to understand more. But it goes into more detail basically than me explaining the whole thing.
Yeah. Well, no, I've dropped the link in there for everybody to sort of go along and have a watch at it. I watched them a couple of times over. Very, very interesting and very good sort of journalism on them. I'd like to know who's funding all these things, these NGOs.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Is it governments? Is it George? Everybody, the conspiracy theory. It's George Soros this, and it's George Soros that, and it's the WEF, and the thing that Theresa May signed us up to before she got put it. Was it UN immigration replacement agenda 20? Help me out here, Jack. Is it 2030?
2030.
Is it 2030?
2040.
Or is it 2040?
I thought it was 2040. Steve, did you go over to France yourself, or is that just stock footage there?
That's footage from some smugglers that I'm following.
Right. Okay. So you get their documentations, things off like TikTok and Instagram.
Yeah, and Snapchat and things like that. I will be going to France at some point, but I won't be saying when I'm there because a lot of the illegals in that follow my account, and I'm not really up for putting myself at risk.
No, I wouldn't be telling them either, mate. No. So you talk about the NGOs. Have you done much research into following the money yourself where it comes to them?
Not so much as the money, as I've more been following the main sort of the work they do. It is something I will be looking into at some point, because obviously there's obviously a lot of ideas that are floated about from where, but it'd be nice to know exactly where the money comes. For instance, there are some people, like the government, are funding the people opposing the Rwanda scheme, like the Refugee Community Council, got like 1.2 million from the government to help them basically campaign against Rwanda.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's it. I'd seen about that, and then whose video came up today, and it was a guy opening as a illegal immigrant opening an envelope for some sort of card. What was the card called? It's basically a cash card. It was on Twitter.
Oh, Aspen cards.
That was it. You posted it on Twitter this morning, I think.
Yeah, an Aspen card is basically the card they use to spend their pocket money on, because they have everything already paid for them anyway. So when they get the Aspen card, that's what they can, like, when they go to the shop and they buy alcohol and cigarettes and all of that, that's what they use that money for. And it's it cost the taxpayer over 159 million last year, and there's going to be even more illegals this year, so it cost even more this year.
I know Stephen Wolf, the ex-European member of Parliament fellow. He runs some society, and he said the government figures are wrong. He says they say it's between 5.5 million a day, but he was explaining that's only to keep them the accommodation. He says that's not feeding them, that's not putting clothes on their back. They're now apparently.
Yeah, this is it. The food cost is far higher.
Yeah, and they're getting free bicycles according to some YouTubers, they've been to hotels and all you see is bicycles across the, locked to the fences. What else do they, as you say, they get the free card with the cash. I can't remember how much it is a week.
It's around 40. It's around 40 something pound a week. I can't remember the exact figure.
And they're in them wee gambling casino places like arcades, and then coming out with their beers and their bottles of this, that, and the other, all on the taxpayers' pound.
They're living the dream, aren't they? Basically,
we're literally paying for our own invasion. Even mannequin, and nobody seems to be doing anything about it except for the likes of yourself, Liam, and what do you call the wee English lady? I was watching her the day go up to a hotel, and
is that Yorkshire Rose?
Is it Yorkshire Rose?
Yeah, she's good. She is.
It astounds me that English people that actually work in these hotels come out and tell the likes of Yorkshire Rose and all to stop filming. You're on private property. Get off. You'll get out of here. You're what did you? I think somebody called her a Nazi.
He's had loads of shit off people.
I think Exiled Viking makes a good point there. And then what shall we do here? I think I shall go to your second video as a part 2. As I say, I'm just going to show a wee clip of these, Steve, and then just drop the link into the chat for everybody to go and have a look at for themselves.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you.
Hopefully get you a few more subs. What have we got here? Part 2. Yeah.
That was made aware of to a migrant charity. We could just over opposition and just see if there's anything in the area. Over. He's got. That's around. They reported 51. That's 51 persons on board.
In part, these adverts are used to lure in potential customers and show just how easy.
Away.
Now, did anybody hear an English voice there telling them to put the phone away? Why would they be doing that?
It's because they are on a lie down. People filming them doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Although we all know what they're doing.
Where was that not playing? I've dropped the link in there anyway. Robert. So you can jump along and have a look at it yourself. But as I say, there's an English voice telling them to stop filming, which I find very sort of underhanded. Then again, these prison ships and all they're talking about using. Where did their co-host go? He's disappeared. He's pressed the wrong button or something. These so-called prison ships. He does that all the time, Steve. He's got a laptop now, but when he was on his phone, he used to do it 10 times worse. He would be sitting going with the phone, maybe turn up the volume or something. Next minute, he would hit exit, and that was him gone. They had to come back in again. So I find it very, very sus. Prison ships, and now they're the RAF bases, and this, that, and the other, and it's out of sight, out of mind. That's very much like what they're doing in the Republic of Ireland, in, what do you call that, village? Mullingar, on the military base, and the military base is massive, and you can't see them for, the barracks is that far into the actual base. Because you can't see them, you can only see them getting off the coach, and then you have boys recording them from outside the gates, and you have a sort of gentleman doing this here, the cutting the throat gesture. And it was another YouTuber that had actually tried his face, searched his face on Google, and he found pictures of him with AK-47s, rocket launchers, sitting on top of a tank, full bearded, and then it comes out in the news report there last week that there was 17 Islamic jihadi terrorists have come across some small boats.
Yeah, this is the thing. It's things that we've been warning of for ages, because if you are going to sneak into a country to cause harm, the easiest way to do it is to come over on a boat, because they're literally going to pick you up and put you straight in a hotel where you want to be. So it was inevitable that it was going to happen, basically. Yeah. I'm surprised it's such a low number, to be honest.
No, I thought there'd be more. But even a couple of years ago, they were showing boys showing guys that had. He's coming back. He lost signal. Even 3 years ago, they were showing guys. One guy was holding up a toddler in France, and then I can't mind who it was. It was one of the mainstream media at once. I think it was maybe Ragz had found footage of him 2 months earlier in Afghanistan as a jihadi fighter. And a couple of months later, he's standing in France in Dover with a wee baby. Let us in, let us in. You couldn't make this stuff up. And the actual Taliban did say at the time, they were coming to invade the West, and they would use mass migration to do it. They even told us they were doing it.
This is the thing. It's so easy to do. That's bound to happen. They've been saying about it, like you say, for years that they're going to do it. So to suggest that they wouldn't is just stupid.
Yep. And then Toffee in the chat there, he has his own channel. He had been showing the young girls being approached by, I call them invaders. They're not refugees. They're not asylum seekers. They're invaders.
Yeah, they are invaders.
Propositioning young 14, 15-year-old schoolgirls. And the young girls filming them. And then you get some big local fella telling them to pick away off. Get away from them, leave them alone. And it's only going to get worse. It's not so bad here. Oh, there. Ernie, I must message you, Ernie, or get my details somehow when we get together. But they had, in the Republic there, they had 2 gay men beheaded in Cork, I think it was, by a man shouting Allahu Akbar. You know, you had multiple girls sexually assaulted by these new Irish, as they call them. You have people there filming on the streets. The coach just turns up. They open the door of the coach and they all climb off. There's not one woman or child on it. Yeah.
It's always the case, though, ain't it? That's the thing.
Yeah.
That's what they use as the argument, but we all know it's like the majority are young fighting age men. That's what's coming over, and that's what everyone knows. So it doesn't matter how many times they're going to say it's not. We all know the difference.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here, Steve, did you get your 3 p.m. alert today?
Yeah, I did. Yeah, it's quite loud, ain't it? It goes off quite loud, to be fair. I wasn't expecting it to go off quite loud. But I'm more concerned about what they're going to use the alerts for. It doesn't bother me getting the actual alert as such, really. It's more what the alerts are going to be for, because if they're going to track on our phones and everything like that, they can do it anyway.
Mine's just turned off. But as you say, they can track your phone anyway, whether you have your location on or not, they can still track your phone.
This is it. So, yeah, it's just weird what they're using the actual mass alarm for, because it can't be for anything good.
No, it can't be. It's the same as their call for everybody to roll up their sleeve at the time, you know, and take the sauce.
Yeah.
It's all about control. The face masks, all about control. Even though Dr. Fauci came out and then literally said, he says, we could wear 1 mask. Then he said, wear 2 masks. Yeah, wear 2. And then a couple of months later, he came out and went, masks don't work. Yeah. Now, that was his very words, you know.
This is the thing. I don't trust anything any of them say.
There's Ernie. What was the actual point? It's basically 1984, Ernie. If you've ever read 1984.
Yeah.
You know, the siren goes off, and everybody stands and listens to the next message. You know, you have the rewriting of books, you have the rewriting of history, you have all this stuff being pushed onto kids in schools about, you know, be who you want to be. You know, if you want to walk into school, if little Jimmy wants to walk into school in a dress, that's fine, you know, and nobody bats an eye about this, you know, except for the likes of us turn around and say, hold on a minute, something ain't right here, you know. There's Albert Ross in, Morell. My co-host must have buggered off. Oh, yeah, he's still trying to get going here. He's messed frantically.
Can't he get back in then?
Yeah. Right on, I'll send him the link again. Invite link. Where is it? I have that many chats open on this that Telegram thing. No, that's you. It is there. Paste. Send that to it. So you were saying you have another 3-4 parts.
Yeah.
It's a 5-part. It's basically.
Yeah, basically. So next part will be about the what happens in Dover, for instance. So from the getting picked up mid-channel from the French through to what happens in Dover, all the costs, the expense of all of that side of things, everything I know from there. Then it'd be the hotels and stuff, and then it'd be all of the government side of things that people need to know. So it's laid out in 5 parts, because I was going to do it all in one, but it was going to be like 2.5 hours long or something, and no one's going to sit there and watch all of that. So I thought it's better to do it in little parts, and then I can push it out as I go.
They're only, I think the first segment is about 16 minutes long. The second segment is roughly about the same, is it not?
Yeah, those two, I could have ideally done those as one part, but I wanted to separate the NGOs from the smugglers, sort of, to show the separate roles that they do.
Yes, but they have been tagged on Twitter several times by the National Housing Party of UK, and Rishi Sunak's plans to coach them over here. Apparently, we have 8 immigrant centres over here, and there's been trouble already because they seem to go on these apps that you were talking about, like Snapchat and this, that, and the other, and they're basically grooming young girls, which I have video footage of one of them being unceremoniously removed from the community.
This is the thing. The people that are coming over are backwards people, aren't they? To say it nicely.
Yeah. They have no respect for females or anything. No. Drinky Bacon says hello. The great guest. So, no, there's been a few incidents here, but nothing compared to the likes of England or even the Republic of Ireland. I know there's been a few things in Glasgow, but that was maybe a couple of years back. There was a stabbing in the hotel. Them guys actually went to the Republic and got shifted out. And then they got sent to Northern Ireland and they got booted out. They went to Scotland. They ended up in Glasgow, and I think he stabbed 3 people, according to the news. But that was a couple of years back. And then you see, this is what I'd like to know. Maybe you would give us some insight into it. You know, when the Home Office send out the guys to get the people that have been living here illegally, and they send out a van. Within minutes of the van arriving at the address, there's like 300 or 400 protesters trying to stop them being removed. Now, as you say, you use different networks and stuff. Do these people have the same networks?
Yeah, they've probably got better networks, if anything, because they'll have people working directly in the Home Office that will literally tip them off as soon as they know a raid's going to happen within their area. So it happens so frequently, like you say, it's almost every time. And the numbers they get together are quite a lot as well. Sometimes they can get up in a couple of hundred, even like 300-400 in some aspects. But usually it's at least 50 people, and they surround the van and they cause a massive riot, and the person eventually won't get taken away, and they just let them go, and then that person disappears and you never see them again.
Disappear
so
into the ether.
I think, say that again, sorry?
They seem to disappear into the ether. They're gone. Apparently they're walking out of the hotels that are being funded to them, and they just disappear.
Well, I asked the Home Office how many have been absconded from hotels last year, and they refused to give me the answer. So that tells you everything usually.
But you had requested several different things from them, did you not, at the time? How many?
Yeah, I get loads. I requested. I send them weekly. Like I send like 4 or 5 a week, just to try and find out information. I'm always ringing them up, chasing up the information and stuff like that, because it's the only way you're going to get it. If you don't ask for it, they won't give you it. So you can get certain parts of information, string it with other information, and you get to see the bigger picture of how much it's really costing and how it operates and things like that. It's the best way to do it. I suggest everyone gets on their case for information, because it's what it's there for.
I thought I had that one lined up. You had a video up on your thing. See if I can open of like a 40-foot lorry driving along. And I didn't see it at the start, but somebody was falling from the car, and it was he was actually lying on what looked to be the fuel tank.
Yeah.
That was your
Mad,
video, wasn't it?
Yeah, crazy. Well, I didn't film it, but yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, the truck traveling at about. See if I can find it here.
This is what they do, though. They take any route available to them to get it.
Where was that? Was it maybe on Twitter? I thought to myself, no way. Nobody's that desperate. Nobody's that stupidly. But apparently, yeah, they are.
Yeah, they don't care. They come however they can. Nothing surprises me no more. I've seen it all in terms of how the illegals get here.
Yeah. But you've been travelling up to London over the last few months on demos and stuff. I've seen a few of your things, interviewing different people. There's this. And the latest from the RAF Scrampton public meeting. Apparently the government pushed that through anyway. So Scrampton's about to get, am I right in saying 2,000?
Yeah, this is the thing. Sewella can overrule all of the local councils now, so nobody can really object. There's not really much people can do about it.
Yeah. Oh, I can't find that again. I just thought it was bizarre.
It's just going to get worse, unfortunately.
Literally lying on the fuel tank. Like, he could have been sleeping. He could have probably having a kip. It looked like he wasn't. It doesn't look as if he was hanging on for grim death or for dear life. You know, it was like.
Yeah, I wouldn't do it myself.
No, like when I was a kid, I'd have done stupid stuff like hang on to the back of the bus when it was snowing and ski down the road. But no, lying under a lorry. But they come through
This is
the
it.
tunnel,
No time.
and then there was a video of them trying to get onto lorries in Dover to get back to France. Somebody put that out there.
Yeah,
a few
they
weeks.
do that a lot. You believe it or not, a lot sneak out of the country.
Yeah, but who was it? Was it Switzerland? They started putting a law into place whereby the refugees that landed in Switzerland had started heading back to their home countries for holidays. So when they wanted to fly back to Switzerland, they refused them entry.
Yeah, that happens a lot. It happens over here as well. They're always going back and forth.
Mm-hmm. But that was the same with the Ukrainian refugees. Colonel, he put up a wee video saying about his mum passing. He's in London and he's sorting out her affairs, and he will be back as soon as he lands in Cambodia again. But I think he has a lot to sort out with the mother's houses and stuff. His mum's house and her affairs and paperwork and things. You know the way funerals go and things like that there. So, so he hasn't been streaming for a while because his mother had taken ill and he was trying to desperately get back to England. I'm not too sure if she died before he got here or not. So, but our thoughts and condolences go out to Dangerfield and his brother. I think he only has one brother. But
yeah,
I know how close I am to my mother. I'd be freaking gutted. So I see if I can find this. Oh, this is the RAF Scrampton one. this is only, there's less than a minute, folks. So this is, you'll find this on Steve's channel. Now, Steve, people are coming out and standing up, and I support them all the way, but nothing seems to be being done.
Yeah, this is the problem, isn't it? There's enough people speaking out now. It's just we're not seeing any action from the government, and no one really expects anything to happen from them because they've shown no reason that they're going to actually do anything yet. It's always hot air. They say they're going to do this, they say they're going to do that, but nothing ever happens. As you say, it's just the same old.
Yeah, same old stuff. It's always the way. Well, we're going to do this and we're going to do that, but we might not be able to do it till the next election. So keep voting for us and we might sort it out. They never do, and never will. It's all part of their agenda. So as I say, there's Agenda 2040, and it was Theresa May before she left. She signed us up to it. It's all to do with World Economic Forum and the UN immigration replacement agenda. The birth rate in England isn't what it should be, and we're not replacing their numbers quickly enough, and stuff like that there. Tic Tac, I dropped it in the chat. You can watch it back again. It's only a wee 1 minute video. It's a local council type meeting. I'm having problems with my internet tonight, and so is Jack. So maybe they've turned their power down or something. It's buffering. But I have dropped the links in there, folks, so you can check it back later on. This was one here that share screen. These are these lonely or desperate people who are trying to get to Britain, and this is gratitude. This is on Steve's Twitter page. If anybody's on Twitter, you can get over there and follow him. He posts a lot of stuff like this here, and a pile of different things.
This is what I mean. They're not that the people that have come over. Well, everyone listening to this probably already knows, but it's just frustrating when you hear it blurted out by all of the commentators and stuff on TV, and you just know that that's not the case. They're not vulnerable people in any way whatsoever. Most of them are wealthy as well.
Yeah. Well, who was interviewing coming off the boat? Was it Liam? I think it was Liam. And he was asking them how much did they pay, and one went, I didn't pay, my brother did. The other one went, what was it? £3,500.
This is what I mean. It's a lot of money.
Yeah. And then when they get here, as you say, they're getting clothes, they're getting new bicycles, they're getting 3 square meals a day, they're getting their rent paid for them. There was a video that came out there in Ireland of one of them with hot plates trying to take him into the hotel room because he wanted to cook his own food. And the manager saying he can't do that, and basically starting a fight in the hallway, trying to get it, what did he call him? What did he call the manager? Starts with an R, ends with an assist.
Doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah. But I think they're told by the NGOs, these are things to say. If somebody challenges you, call them a racist. If somebody asks you where you're from, don't tell them.
Yeah, it's like the NGOs hand out leaflets to block the raids. They tell illegals what to do when they see an immigration enforcement officer and stuff.
Yeah.
They hand these out in all of the areas where they all live.
Yes. And you have, what do you call a woman that was sleeping with an immigrant, illegal immigrant? So you care for Cali woman.
Oh, what, Claire Mosley?
Claire Mosley, that was the one. And then everybody was putting COCK for Cali, or COCK for Claire. Go for Claire. She got ripped. Definitely ripped. But she appeared at that Liverpool protest as well. So she's heavily funded.
Yeah, she does pop up now and then.
So I take it he didn't get on.
She does. She turns up at a lot of those events.
Well, she must be heavily subsidised by somebody.
Oh yeah, she makes a lot of money out of it.
Yeah, I think they all do. I think there's, what was it, the Irish guy was telling me, in Ireland alone there is 143 NGOs. For the size of a tiny country like Ireland, 143 NGOs trying to put
there's a lot.
The Irish government trying to bring in an emergency law, which is in wartime only, and it's repossessing people's homes. So say you and family had worked for years and you bought a wee place down the coast. I went down there maybe 3 or 4 times a year for holidays and weekends and bits and pieces like that there. The government can take that home off you and house migrants in it. And they're not breaking the law.
Shocking, ain't it, really?
Yeah. Where you can see these boys jumping on the bandwagon. Claire does Cali. Debbie does Dallas. Claire does Cali. Oh, the folk that follow me have the same sort of teenage boy mentality. Well, that's for the guys in the chat. The ladies in the chat aren't much different. So I don't know if you want to. I'm still trying to find that. What's annoying me? I see you have Pat McGuinness on your chat on your videos. Have you?
Oh yeah, I got him to come on the Dear Suella video.
Yeah. Was that you behind the video?
What, behind the Dear Suella video?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was, yeah.
I'd shared that everywhere. There was David Curtin on it. There was Simon Sideways on it. There was the guy with the moustache, curled up moustache. I can't remember his name.
Luke Uncaged. There was a few people. There's a lot of people that did do it that didn't make the video as well. I just couldn't fit everyone in to make it sound right.
Who's the lady at the start?
Lelena Dowding. I can't down something like that. Lena Dowding.
Is she part of
she does all the freedom stuff, I think.
with the freedom rallies and things?
Yeah.
Right. What's me now? There seems to be, we're buffering. Must be my internet, folks. I have, I got fibre broadband stuff, all this new technology, and it's still bloody slow.
Mine's like it as well.
It's supposed to be this new technology, and it's wonderful. It's this, that, and the other. And it's one weekend I'll stream, and it'll be OCX, no XPace either. Nice one. Get them out for the lads. But one weekend I'll stream and it'll be absolutely fine. Not a problem. I'll go off without a hitch. And then this week it's just it's buffering, it's doing this, it's doing that. And it was bad this afternoon when I was setting up, so I went and reset the router thing, thinking that was it. And I'm still getting the
It's a nightmare, isn't it?
nightmare. So the Voice of Wales was on your video as well. I remember them two guys.
Yeah, Stan.
Pat has asked me to sort of join their Twitter group and post Northern Ireland news and what I could find out on immigration and the illegal immigrants being placed in places around here. And I've found 8 so far. You wouldn't believe where they were, Steve, either. We have a place in Coleraine called the Jet Centre, and it's where all the teeny boppers go at the weekend. You know, it's got cinemas, it's got bowling, it's got all these sort of activities and entertainment, and there's a 9-hole crazy golf thing outside, and all these different, and that's where mum and dad drop the kids off on a Friday night and a Saturday night and maybe a Sunday afternoon. And where's the hotel they put 200 men in? 50 metres down the road.
Mad, isn't it? It's mad. It's mad the way they plan it out. It's like they've done it deliberately. Well, they have. That's what I think. It's all done deliberately.
Yeah,
it has to be.
No, it's all been planned. It's like the TV advertisement we always see on TV, you know, and it's all these couples, and it's always a Caucasian lady with a Nubian husband, you know, and little mixed race kids. You know, what was it? Who done it last year? You typed into Google black couples, black man, black woman. You typed in white couples, black man, white woman. And it's so obvious. It's unbelievable. Cultural Marxism, yes, destruction of Western Christian.
They don't even hide it these days.
No, because they know that I have come to the conclusion they know that we're onto them, so they're pushing it and pushing it and pushing it.
They just don't care, do they?
No, they don't care. So, anyway, since I'm having problems here, Steve, I would like to get you back on again at some other stage.
Yeah, sure thing. Anytime you want, mate, just give me a little bit of notice and I'll make sure I'm free.
Yeah. Just to let everybody know, we have the Angry Picnic on next week, and I'm actually trying to get Morgoth on. I don't know if you know who Morgoth is, Steve.
Yeah, I do follow him. I don't know him personally, but I do follow his work. He's quite good.
It's terrific in his work. Was there anything you want to share with my crowd here? We have 16 at the minute. That's not bad for me.
Just if you haven't seen the documentaries that he put out, the Invasion Part 1 and Part 2, give them a watch, guys, because there's some good information in there. You may know it all, you may not, but it's definitely worth a watch.
one of the mods there, I know Steve will probably he'll drop them in anyway into the chat. Before we go, I'd like to say thank you for coming on. I really appreciate it. Like, I'm only a small YouTuber, and you're a lot bigger than me from the scale of things. Do this again without.
I'm nothing special, mate. I just talk about illegals.
Yeah. Well, you're like me. I have kids, but all my kids are up and grown, and they're old enough to look after themselves and defend themselves. I have 3 boys that stare me in the face, and one actually looks down at me. But I still have 2 girls. And yes, they're mid or sort of late 20s, early 30s, but you still worry about them. And on a night out, and with these people roaming about your communities, you know, anything can happen. There was a
This
gentleman.
is the thing. I got 3 young daughters. That's my main worry.
Yeah. So I understand why you do it. Everybody's, the one in the chat, what's the one in the chat for? One in the chat is for Steve. Yes, one in the chat for Steve. So yeah, I appreciate you coming. Bearing the Brunton hoaxes and didn't even see them. But as I say, brother, absolutely legend. Great to have you on. And since you're an Englishman, happy St. George's Day.
Yeah, nice one, mate. You too. Thank you.
Hope you had your flag out. Or as we call it here in Northern Ireland, your flag out. Oh, no, this is not there. There's plenty of flags about. And behind you there.
Yeah, you got to have it out.
So, thanks again, bud, and I will talk to you later.
No worries, mate. You got me on Telegram and that anyway. Just give me a message if you want me to come back on sometime.
Oh, will do. Especially when the part 3, part 4 and stuff comes out, we'll get you on and we'll get them promoted out as much as we can, because everybody in here shares everything anyway. So
nice one, mate. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Talk to you later, but God bless.
Take care, mate. Bye.
Very interesting guest, folks. Lovely guy. I've never actually spoken to him in the flesh before. Well, not in the flesh, but over this thing that we call the net. If it ever bloody worked properly. I don't know what happened to Jack. Apparently his internet crapped itself. He must be on dial-up. So, and then Steve's dropping in the links there. If you do want to donate, folks, as you know, it's all in the description under the video. There's PayPal and Buy Me a Coffee, and I do have some great supporters on them. And next week we will have the Angry Picnic, and hopefully the internet will have improved by then. So that leaves me to say good night, God bless, or in my case, Odin bless.